once more I feel the need to apologise. Today I apologise for the fact that I may be a bit mournful or regretful recording this video because our DM is no longer going to be running this adventure for the reason that he has to quit D&D to spend more time with his family. He's got a child coming on the way, so I wish his family the very best, and I hope they're able to find some time to play D&D in the future, but it is not meant to be for the time being, so I wish them the best of luck. The good news, or perhaps the bad news, is that this adventure is going to continue, and so are my recaps. So, yes, we're going to be talking about session 6. That began on at 6 o'clock until 10:15 on the 11th, no, not the 11th, sorry, on the 9th of September. How fun. So yes, I realise I'm rather late with recording this, and maybe even uploading it, because I'm going on holiday for a week. So I'm going to try and get this up, and then I can maybe put a session recap for a one-shot that I'm going to be attending. The Group 89 is going to be attending, but we shall see. So just before the session began, myself and Eliza's player and Emil's player were chatting while waiting for Shoria and the DM to arrive. We were talking strategy. In this time, I had given my potion of healing to Eliza to ensure then that she wouldn't have to worry about not being able to heal anyone or do anything, and instead like chasing enemies. So the idea of like me having a healing item to keep myself alive wasn't really worth it if I went down all of a sudden. So other players then have some healing supplies that they can use on each other and themselves. So that's good, and it also takes a lot of the weight off me being a healer as well, and then I can focus on the party's other needs. So that's good. So as we were waiting, I did that. We had the recap, which I did very poorly because I think my microphone crapped out at that time. I don't think it's a problem with the microphone as such. I think it's more the internet connection. Because it's a Blue Yeti, it's worked all these years. Mind you, that's not exactly saying much, is it now? I think there's a lot of newer microphones that are coming out, but yeah, I think it's my internet connection that's the problem. But I may use my phone next time, and maybe some data as well. We shall see come the next session. So yeah, so we've had a long rest. Our characters have had a long rest at the Stonehill Inn, and we're now looking at the time is about 8 PM, so it's a bit too late to be doing any shopping, as we're sort of debating what to do. We can't go shopping. There's not many NPCs we can really talk to because they'll all be going to bed. But we still find 2, and we decide first of all to go to Sister Garel of Sister Garel's house. This is going to be much fun, isn't it? For a second there, I thought it wasn't recording. That would have been a relief for you all, wouldn't it? Yeah, so we go to Sister Garel's house, and as we're going there, the DM's just reminding us what we know and what we don't know of the Nothic, and the DM gives a bit more information to satisfy our curiosity. We know that it doesn't remember its past. We know it's feral and that it's no stranger to eating raw, fresh meat. And Shoria optimistically tells us maybe it eats dwarves. Emil and Garveld, you go first. Oh, goody. Which I wouldn't object to be honest, but Emil very much insists on going ahead. And that's understandable, wants to look after the healer. But yeah, still, never mind. So, just before we leave, this is something I was meant to say as well. Just before we leave for Sister Garel's house, Liza just wants to check the windows one more time, see if we've been stopped by red brands. And she rolls a 23, which is the first of many, many good rolls that the party sees tonight. So she gets 23 perception, 19 plus 4. And she sees nothing except a black-robed figure who's humanoid figure. I suggest it's Merrick again with a change of clothes. Much chortling to be had there. And and Eliza sort of like signals for Sildar to come to the window and see if he can see anything, but he doesn't. But we do get the idea that he is humanoid, and that's about it. She then goes to the window the opposite side of the inn, in the common room, and she sees again another shorter black-robed figure out by the smithy. But this one's a bit shorter and in similar robes again. Now Emil wants to try and use his command spell to get it to sort of full prostrate, which is very different to how I initially heard it. And it only has a duration of 6 seconds, so he's got to try and run out with a walking speed of 25 feet to maybe get about... let's have a look. I don't know, how far is it? Phandelver, there we are. Yeah, he's got to get about... about, let's say, 75 feet. He might have made it actually, but thematically I don't think the DM would have had it, because I think they wanted to hurry us along. And the reason why I mentioned earlier as well about the DM quitting as well is because that explains some of the friction I sort of felt, at least between myself and the DM. I can't speak for the players and the characters, but yeah, there were some things that I sort of wanted to do, but felt I wasn't going to push it because the DM really wanted us to get into the combat, which is a shame because I don't do much roleplay, but when I want to do it, I really want to do it. And even then, actually, truth be told, I have been treated quite well in terms of the RP. The DM has thrown me quite a few bones, figuratively and literally. In the case of the skeletons that we're going to encounter, not in the session, unfortunately. So if you're looking forward to that, it's not happening. So yeah, so then we decide that we're not going to go after these black robed figures. We're going to instead go to Sister Gorell's house. I also apologise as well for any of the noise the neighbours have in their house modified and goodness knows what, so I apologise for all the workmen making sounds like that. So anyway, we go to Sister Gorell's house, and we asked if Sildar's going to be joining us as well, and he says that this old dog still knows his tricks. So that's good, so we know that we've got a DM NPC with us. Emil's player says, we're going to see a nun, very cheerfully, and I thought it was worth writing that down because of how chipper he sounded. Thank you. Yeah, so Eliza, as we enter the home, Eliza steps back and she insists on letting the holy people do this, which I was really hoping to have a bit of chat with, but I think everyone else had wanted to get on with asking some important questions rather than just about the nature of life, death, and undeath, and the undead. So. Yeah, we also learn as well that Sister Gorell is an elf, and that we also knew as well that Sildar Holdwinter is a human. She asks if we're with the Red Browns, and Emil says red isn't our colour. Shoria recommends that we start gently, and like maybe not mention the monster. But unfortunately, Sister Gorell rolls 20 for her perception when Shoria whispers, don't lead with the monster. And of course, she's asking about what monster. We tell her about the Nothic and what we know so far. But we don't know anything. We don't really know anything else about this this creature, and she can't tell us any more than what we know. We sort of talk a bit more, and eventually she reveals that she knows quite a lot about us, and she is quoted as saying, "You should know Emil Cragwalker," and Emil, in a way that I don't think was intended to sound as sinister as it does, asks the sister, "Do I owe you money?" Yes, that came out quite wrong. It did, and it's very funny though, and there's quite a few moments like that, and I'm really glad that this is possibly the most humorous session we've had, and I unfortunately don't have the comedic ability to relay the passions that were felt at this day, because it being our DM's last session with us, I hope that it was a really good one for them. So yeah, so awkwardness aside, no, Emil doesn't owe the sister any money. Shoria then asks that's great that you know Emil, but how do you know the rest of us? And sure enough, she does. She says, that you're Shoria Simmons, and you're Eliza Elmwood, and you are Garveld Grimhammer, cleric in the service of Kellenvor. So that was quite interesting, and it's strange, really, that I know that the DM is just going off our character sheets and whatnot, but it still felt quite nice that to have an NPC sort of recognize the characters. It was very mysterious. So yeah, I hope that's not an inexperienced thing. I hope all future DMs are able to convey that sort of mystery. How do they do it? How do they know? So yes, she also mentions as well that Sildar and herself know each other, because Shoria asks, and who's that? And she says, that's Sildar Hallwinter, and I know Sildar Hallwinter because we go a ways back. And they speak in an unknown language, and our DM checks our character sheets to see if we have this language. And interestingly, I think it's Emil who has... I don't think I can actually check it, but I think he has Undercommon. And would you believe it wasn't actually Undercommon? It was another language, and I shall tell you later what it was. So yeah, so they're talking in an unknown language and having a bit of a giggle, and Shoria's winking, going, yeah, yeah, you sly old dog here, etc., etc. So Emil wants to cut to the chase, and Shoria asks if Emil has a romantic bone in your body. The sister doesn't really know anything of what's in the manor besides red brands. She can't know the numbers. Yes, Emil has common, dwarvish, halfling, and undercommon. And it wasn't abyssal or celestial, which are the languages I get for being a cleric, and I believe a acolyte. Hey. So, yeah. So she doesn't know who or what is in the manor. We know that there's some goblinoids in there. We know there's about 5 or 6 red brands, and we know that Glassstaff is likely there as well. So, so she can give us no further information on the Nothic. Now she's going to give us, from a chest near her bed, 2 potions of healing for a price. Because she asks us to sit, and we do, save for Sildar, who remains standing, that she has a delicate mission for us. Her friends want information on a spellbook, and that she got a scar for her efforts as she encountered a beast. So I offer her healing. I've got all my spell slots now because we've had a long rest, but she said no, it's fine. She puts her hand on her arm and she heals the wound, which is still scarred, but is otherwise healing over time with magic. So I nod sagely with a smile, and Eliza asks, person or beast? And we learn that, the person didn't give me the word, it was a beast in the forest, but never mind them. The person is Agatha, who lives in a place near Conyberry, 2 days' travel from where we are. And Shoria then asks, does this person want to aid us? And the sister, I think, said something along the lines of, no, she's not really that kind of sort. She's quite comfortable where she is. And she also mentions as well that she is a Banshee. And I have to ask the DM, of course, those immortal words, what do I know about undead name here? So, I know that they are special. Special in the regard that they can talk, they are sentient, and they are kept in the mortal realm for a reason. Now, as much as I would like to ask what this reason is, we can only ask this Banshee one question, and that we are not to attack the Banshee. We are not a threat to her, because she sort of points to us all and says, yeah, she could take all 5 of you out easily, and she includes Sildar Hallwinter here as well. And yeah, the Banshee is quite a powerful foe, so they don't really want us using any sort of, we don't really want to get into combat with it, and that we only want to ask her a single question. if she knows the location of a spellbook belonging to Bowgentle. Now, Bowgentle isn't a name we've come across just yet, if indeed we will at all. Yeah, that's the name that I've written down. And I'm guessing that because they have a spellbook, they are a wizard. I don't think artificers have spellbooks. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of other. No, warlocks have Pact of the Tome, but no. It doesn't matter. Yeah, so I'm just guessing they're a wizard anyway. So, yes. So the Banshee is not a threat, and she can kill all 5 of us easily. Shori as well is asking like what kind of afterlife she's expecting, and I'm sort of wondering like if it's possible to send her back to like whatever realm she's from. Like, can I help her complete her task? Because I can't just kill her because she's gonna kill me. And like, as much as I might hate or pity the undead, I'm not just gonna fight them for the sake of fighting them. You know, that's lawful stupid. You know, it's like, look, I'm willing to recognize that I'm not strong enough to kill the undead. So, we also ask as well about Glassstaff, but she's surprised to know of Iarno Albrecht being the leader of the Red Brands, and she says some more to Sildar in a language that we don't understand. So, Shori then wants some more information on the sister, which she ain't giving. And it's a very good question, really, to ask about more info on the sister, as we'll find out very soon. Eliza is told of the danger of the owlbear attack. Oh yes, this is the beast as well, an owlbear. Eliza is told that she doesn't really need to roll a nature check. She knows of owlbear, she's seen them before, and she knows she's smart enough to stay away from them as well. So that's good information to know, that they are going to be incredibly strong. I mean, maybe we can take them as a group, but I don't know yet. We'll have to see if we get to level 3. Keyword being if, for the way we rolled. Yeah, we're also told as well of another ally in a place called Thundertree, or rather what's left of it. Again, we're shown the map. Earlier when I mentioned Conyberry as well, we are shown the map of like the Sword Coast and like where Neverwinter is, etc. It comes in the starter set, I think, or in like Dragon of Ice map. I've seen the map either way, and they show me where they show all these places as well. Interesting, there's a place called Crypt Garden Forest, Crypt with a K, and the Mere of Dead Men. I really hope that if ever we have to go to those places, Garvel lives long enough to see them, because that's going to be very, very interesting to me. And yes, there is someone there in Thundertree, or what's left of it, called Rydoth, or Redoth, or Radoth, who is a druid. Yes, so the sister's telling us a bit more. We try to ask her any more information about the Red Brands, and and she just says, look, the only thing I can tell you is that they're getting stronger. And this again is like the DM saying, look, just go to the manor, just fight these things. Which I have to agree with. But it's okay. I don't want to rush the party by any means. I'm happy to be along there for the ride. That's why I don't really say all that much. So to which Emil responds by saying, you shouldn't have spent half an hour telling us about the Banshee then. So yes. We're also told as well that if we deal with the Red Brands, we will be considered heroes, and this sort of brings a spark to Shoria's eyes when she likes the idea of being called the hero of Phandelver. But I'm sort of sat here thinking, that I believe that honour belongs to Theldendra, for whom without him we wouldn't have known of the Red Brand threats. We never would have dealt with it. So hopefully that will absolve us as hanging a body in the bell tower and leaving it to rot in the Town Master's Hall. So then Eliza, just before we leave, sneakily looks out the window, and the sister tells us that the Red Brands are waiting for us. She tells her that we're not just looking for Red Brands, we're looking for these guys in red robes. Black robes. I do apologise, they're not the Mythic Dawn. She's surprised by the black robes. We also ask about the Black Spider, who's now become affectionately known as Spider-Man, and otherwise, which we only really know that he does whatever a spider can, which in this instance is controlling the Red Brands, and that he's being watched by the sister. Also as well, Glassstaff is now being called the Black Spider's bitch, so by Shoria. So that's good to know. I'm sure that'll come in handy with giving him disadvantage on all his rolls in combat if we just keep calling him Spider-Man's bitch. Yes. So Eliza asks about Lady Luck and the shrine outside. Like, you maintain the shrine? She says, yes, I am. I don't know what else was gleaned from that conversation. I can't remember. I haven't got it on my notes. And I ask about signs of the undead. And she says that there's only rumours, but that's a story for another time. If only it was. I certainly hope that whoever's DMing next, I don't know if it's Emil's player who's going to be playing both Emil and, well, being the DM, because they have some DMing experience, which is really cool, or if it's going to be Michaela from the tutorial arena. So, fingers crossed. I mean, either way, I look forward to either of them DMing. It'll be fantastic, because I have nothing but faith in their abilities. So yeah, sorry about the time. Oh yes, so as we're leaving the building, we're trying to guess what the language was, and Emil's player was asking, is it Undercommon? It's like, no, it's not Undercommon. So I think Eliza and I at the same time said it's got to be Thieves' Cant, and sure enough, it was Thieves' Cant. So the sister and Sildar Hallwinter have some levels in Rogue, we think. Not that monster stat blocks really work the same as player character sheets, but hey ho. I mean, maybe the way our DM was playing things, maybe they were. In my notes, it says more debate on the entrance. See, that's what they look like. See, that's the kind of text that I have to go through. More debate on the entrance. More debate on the entrance in capital letters. That's the significance there. Whenever I write something in capital letters, that's usually some sort of emotion running hot. It tends to be like aggravation, like, come on, I just want to go to the manor. You know, I don't even do that much in combat anyway, but I like rolling dice. What can I say? So yeah, so now we're thinking, okay, which entrance are we going to take? We're going to take the cellar entrance, or are we going to take the manor, the hidden tunnel into the manor? And we're sort of thinking, well, we know that Nothic likes meat, so we're going to try and get some fresh meat. But, however, the Tublin Stonehill of the Stonehill Inn that we've been staying in does not have any fresh meat. He would basically starve his family if he gave it away. We then go to the Elderly Farm. We're not going to get the body from the Townmaster's Hall that was left in a sack, because we don't really need it. I think that would have gone off, and we're just wasting time at this point. So Emil knocks on the door, and no one answers, and then he knocks louder this time, and a halfling woman approaches after putting the light on, and she's upset, saying, look, do you know what time it is? I was just in bed, my son's in bed, can you just leave us alone? What do you want? So, basically, Emil's saying, look, we really need some meat, and we're on our way to fight the Red Brands, but what we really need is some meat. And this halfling woman still obviously it's just asking, what do you need meat for at this time of night? He says something along the lines of strangely, it's to help stop the Red Brands. I wish I had it down perfectly because it was great. So eventually she says, look, okay, if I sell you this chicken, will you please leave here and never come back? And Emil's like, yeah, fine. So they go out the back of the farm, they grab a chicken, put it in a bag. People are starting to wake up and wonder what's going on. Like people can hear the clucking of this chicken. And the longer we leave it alive, the more noise it's making. So now we're debating. Oh yeah, after spending 20 gold pieces as well. So I think Annie removes the 20 gold pieces from a bra of holding, and she oh yeah, and then the halfling woman goes back outside, and after grumbling, and we're now deciding on how to kill this chicken. Now, oh yeah, also as well, she takes the chicken and puts in, quote from the DM, get this, a sack, and of course the sack memes carried on, And yes, so we're trying to think of a way to kill this chicken, as I've said about 3 times now. Now I offered to say, like, you know, we could just, like, I could cast Sacred Flame on it and kill it nice and easily. We could, you know, I could, you know, like, put it under my arm or something like that and choke its neck or whatever. But I said, like, choking the chicken's probably not a good idea. That's another joke that just sort of bellowed throughout the entire evening. Choke the chicken, indeed. And then our DM eventually, like, after howling at this, just decides that Eliza does whatever needs to be done. The chicken is dead, killed in the most humane way possible. Everyone's happy. That was a direct quote as well, to show just how much they wanted to get out, just to get out and spend the rest of the evening with a partner. So, we're going now to find the entrance to the cave. Emil rolls a 10 on his investigation. Not great, but we find it eventually. It doesn't take too long. And as we're sort of funneling into the tunnel now, it's single file, because I think it's about 20... I've got it up here. 1, 2, 3, 4... Yeah, it's about... Before anyone can get in, you have to move like 15, 20 feet through it on this grid. And we're sort of funneling through, which is a great way for the DM as well to sort of have the Nothic speak to the players individually. And I think maybe it was even designed that way. I certainly hope that it was. And if it wasn't, you know, I would strongly recommend that, you know, other DMs that have, you know, players do that. You know, have them funnel them through and make them talk, make that Nothic talk to them one at a time. And then they're sort of trapped there. And also as well, it's quite a narrow view. They don't really get to see a whole lot without dark vision. There are torches here and there, but it is still quite like a dim light in places, I think. So I'm just trying to find that image again. Yeah, so we enter the lair of the Nothic in the cellar of Tresendar Manor. And he casts Divine Sense to see if he can see anything. Which is like, he can see, like, I think it's like aberrations, celestials, fiends, undead within 60 feet that aren't behind total cover. But he doesn't detect anything. And the Nothic's very well hidden. There's Fog of War that our DM has figured out how to put in. I think Emil's player has as well. And the Nothic, out of nowhere, speaks into the deepest recesses of Emil's mind and says, "Welcome to my playground." And only Emil's hearing this, and he's saying that, like, the Nothic's here. He's sort of relaying this information back to us, and Emil's, like, quite confident. He's holding up the sack and he's saying, look, if you just let us pass, I've got some chicken here. To which the Nothic says, "Chicken, human, dwarves, none of them matter." So then Emil's trying... Oh, yeah, sorry. Emil's then asking about what Glassstaff has offered the Nothic in order for him to turn down this, you know, this offer of freshly killed, humanely killed chicken. And Glassstaff has offered him dwarf meat. And now Emil's are trying to do an insight check of natural 1, and he doesn't know anything if this creature's, like, telling the truth or not, but he does know that the creature is trying to sense his motive. So it can sense the action he's trying to take. So if you try to perform an ability check, he knows what you're trying to do. Which I was going to try and distract the creature maybe while we get past or something like that with some questions, but he knows that I'm doing it to distract him. So, but that's only about a few minutes later anyway. So, yeah, so the Nothic then talks to Shoria, calling her a slave to Titania. She comes in. Oh no, sorry. So Shoria's walking in. Shoria says the Nothic says she comes and she goes, never stays the same. And something as well, I think, about how the throne is always empty, which I don't quite know much about, but I think Shoria done a research on Titania and said how, like, she's the queen of the fairies and that, like, she's not always present over the Fey Court and things like that. I don't quite know. Again, it's some research I may have to do. On the other hand, I don't really want to metagame. So, then, as Eliza's funneling in as well, because I think it was like, the marching order was Emil in front, then Eliza, then Shoria, then myself. Or it's like Emil, Shoria, Eliza, and then myself. And then Sildar right at the back, because Sildar's joining us. And Eliza is then asked, have you found her yet? Will you keep searching? To which Eliza responds, once I become stronger. And I like that answer. And I think it shows a very stoic side of Eliza. She's not just naive, she's honest and she's earnest. And she knows her weaknesses. She knows that she's on level 2, and I quite like that. And she's becoming visibly worried as well again. The Nothic then responds to this by saying, black she is, black they are. And Eliza's now worried that whoever she is the Black Spider. Oh yes, another thing as well he says is here, there, everywhere, but not near. I've also put it here as well that the DM plays the Nothic exquisitely, and they do. To Shoria, the Nothic then says, Thunder Tree holds the answers. The Prince of Lies lies there. Upon any further questioning that the party offers, he then starts saying, into the pit they go. And he points with a gnarled, sort of bony, lanky finger at the crevasse before him. The crevice, I don't know how to pronounce that. Crevasse, and even different words I don't know. Shoria then asks, why haven't you killed Glassstaff yet? To which the Nothic replies, the pit! The pit! And apparently an unnaturally cold breeze is emanating from this pit, the crevasse, and there's a smell that's unfamiliar. There's torches, we can see bridges and columns. We've all got dark vision as well, I said before, that helps. And finally, I hear the voice of the Nothic, which says, "The dead arise, walk. Will I make him speak to you?" I ask, I shall bloody well hope so. But how? And then he simply responds, pits! So, Emil rolls a perception of 13. He sees bones and rubble in the pit, and a natural cold air comes from the pit to us. He spots two bodies, one of a human and one of a dwarf. Now I think Shoria is then asking about like what can I identify about the dwarf? Is it Grista? To know that she's at least not just being held captive for morbid reasons. And I think it was confirmed that is Grista lying there, at least the closest we know, because I don't think there's many dwarves living in Phandelver 2.0 as Tomlin had called it previously. Unfortunately, the human body is wearing green clothing, and this had me really worried, because see, the thing is that I had in mind that if I found Theldendrau's body, I would do anything to rescue it, to not rescue it as such. I mean, he's already dead, I ain't done much rescuing there, but like to reclaim it and give it a proper burial. The thing is that I don't know if this is Theldendrau's body yet. I do, like the DM confirmed it. And this is sort of what I took umbrage with, that like the Nothic's too powerful for me to get the body out and give it a proper burial, and that's kind of like my thing. It's not really why I'm in Phandelver as such, but I have hinged a lot of the character on him. Now that's not necessarily the DM's fault. That's entirely mine. I'm sorry. I make it sound like I'm making a big deal about it. It's not a big deal. But yeah, I was just I just really wanted to do good by goodbye him, but still, we'll get around to that later. Oh yes, to Emil, the Nothic says, "I like what you did in the bell tower. Sometimes you have to be bad to be good. The line, where is the line?" Did my David Dickinson impression again, I apologise. So Emil removes the contents of the sack, the chicken, into the pit, and Shoria says, "Now Emil's sack is emptied." Ha 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 ha. The Nothic reveals itself, but I don't think it really eats the chicken. It's just showing its face now. There are more. Oh yes, when I said he points his finger to the pit, I don't think I think I'm misremembering that. I think I'm just putting my own flavour on this. I get to do that because I'm recapping. If anyone wants to stop me, they can come over here and edit these videos themselves. Yes. So the Nothic then reveals itself, and he says, "There are more," and he points his finger to the western staircase, and I think a tunnel to the sort of a pathway to the east. I'm not sure. I think he points like west, northwest, and northeast. I can't quite remember because it was the DM pinging them rather than drawing on the map. And he asks, "Will you bring them here?" To which I've put bargain made. And indeed a bargain was made. I don't think we really made the bargain yet. I think we've sort of just said, yeah, we'll bring you the bodies, but we haven't really laid down our terms yet. And one of those terms is I get to take Thel's body home. Well, not home as such, but to the graveyard. Which I should add as well, I've bought the app Dungeon Draft, so I can make my own battle maps and things like that. So if our DM needs anything like that, the first one I made was actually like for the graveyard as well. So if the DM wants to use that or whatever as a map, we can use that. Yeah, so we decide then that we're going to take the we're going to go clockwise in navigating this dungeon, because I agree with Shoria this idea of like when we were in the second session where we basically took the most optimal route through the Cragmore hideout, and we really want to be taking it as methodically and slow as we possibly can. So that's what we're going to do this time. So we're going to go towards the southwest down the staircase, and we're going to listen into the room there. And yes, oh, hang on. Sorry, I've got screenshots of all this stuff. Okay, yeah. So we're going to go into the southwestmost room. And there's a door there that we don't know is locked or open. Eliza is listening to the door. She gets 20, 16 plus 4 perception. And she hears voices in a language she doesn't understand. Little do we know that this is probably Goblinoid. So she's hearing these voices in a language she doesn't understand. There's one weak voice and there's two voices that aren't particularly weak. They seem quite strong. Oh yes, while this is going on, as the party's sort of like lining up down the stairs, I look over the ledge of the pit, which apparently I think needs a saving throw to land in successfully. Like a dexterity saving throw to landing, because the DM was telling us that it gets too deep to... Like, if you fall in there, you will take fall damage. So, or if you go down there, you'll need to make a save. So, anyway. So, as the party's lining up, I go to the edge of the pit just to see if that body really does belong to Thel'Dendra, and the Nothic does say, it is. Stop wasting time, which I sort of took personally because I think it was because I thought at the time that was the DM speaking through the character to me personally, and again, it's like I think I sort of made it known that I really wanted this to go on, but still, I like I say, I think I was maybe just misreading the situation and reading too much into it, and who knows, maybe if they were to continue DMing, they would have allowed me to bargain with the creature for that. And we could always come back when we're stronger, because I don't know what this Nothic's going to eat after the bodies have been eaten. It can't just live on whatever's here, I'm sure. So yeah, I wouldn't mind. Slaying this creature, and then that's one less thing for the people of Phandelver to worry about. But we can always come back when more powerful. Anyway, so where am I? My notes. Ah, yes. So so we're now lining up outside this door, and we're wondering how this is going to play out. And Emil's asking if we're going to use breaching if Eliza and I are going to use breaching tactics. To which Shoria once again, with an absolute caucus, says, "Excuse me, you're going to breach, Eliza." Oh dear. And Emil, of course, follows up with, "You're going in fast." Oh dear, oh dear. So instead, Eliza decides that she's going to try and pick the lock. Unfortunately, she rolls a 7. And she falls through this open door, and she sort of falls to the floor, not like mechanically prone or what's the word I'm looking for now? I guess, yeah, just knocked down or prone. But yeah, it's like she gets herself up again, and within this room are not just 2 voices, but there are 3 bugbears and a goblin who is on the floor, pretty much unconscious, I think. And the bugbears are sort of like, the leader of the bugbears is asking, "Who are you?" And Eliza's sort of like, you know what, wrong room, I'm just gonna get out of here. And he asks again, "Who are you?" And again, Eliza's like, guys, there's bugbears in here, we need to move now. like guys, run up the stairs, get into some sort of position, but for the love of God, don't go back, don't go north and get locked up against locked up against that door. I was about to say knocked up against that door, but that doesn't sound right either, dear me. I'm coming out of the lines now, aren't I? And before too long, the bugbear leader, not wanting to waste any time whatsoever, just immediately shouts, "Intruders!" And so we roll initiative. The roll order is Shoria 18, Eliza 14, Bugbears 7, Garveld 6, Emil 4. So, the plan is, and of course, as Mike Tyson once said, I do believe, that everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. We decide that we're going to run up the stairs again, and unfortunately the way is blocked though, because Eliza, I think, just steps back and she shoots a longbow. She steps back and she shoots her longbow, I do believe, with disadvantage. But it's not her turn yet, of course, because I'm reading my notes in the completely wrong order. So Shoria runs up past me, up the stairs, and she's going to stand on the bridge, and she's basically just waiting for one of the bugbears to show their head, so that she can. She's ready in action, Eldritch Blast, saying that when she has a clear shot, she's going to shoot the bugbears with it. To which, of course, we wish her luck. So Eliza shoots one of the bugbears with her longbow, but unfortunately she has to do it with disadvantage because of the range she's at. She's virtually in front of them. She rolls an 8, she misses, and she moves to the pillar, to the northernmost pillar that we can see on the battle map. I've got the screenshots, I'll put those up. So, the bugbear, upon exiting this room now, notices Emil, and he's quite surprised because he thought that Eliza was on her own, and he tries to swipe at him, and this bugbear tries to swipe at him, but unfortunately he rolls a 6 to hit Emil with his Morningstar. Now the green bugbear, called such because of his battle marker, is like sort of standing behind his, like sort of standing next to his boss and say, "Boss, if you don't move, I can't hit him." Because the door is only like 5x5, so, and this bugbear's blocking the way. This other one, this purple bugbear, again, so much because of their battle, their marker on the battle map, runs straight into this other one, this green bugbear, head first, and doesn't take any sort of penalty or whatever. But it's a very comedic scene. think. I'm sure it's very much like the Jungle Book in the DM's head. So, yes. So from the stairs, I'm now like I can see the leader, and I'm gonna cast Sacred Flame. It's a Dexterity saving throw of like 12, I believe, at this my level, and he rolls a nat 20, and he just shrugs it off. And instead, what I do then is I'm going to move in front of Eliza, so I can act as some half cover for her, I guess, and that she can still shoot over my head. So yes, very common tactic that this is turning out to be. Yes, I make a point of looking after the spellcasters, it seems, which is fine. I'm fine with the role. Yeah, so Emil, rather than wanting to take this guy head on, decides to disengage and run up the stairs, and I think he's going to take cover behind one of the southern walls. Yes, he takes cover behind one of the southern walls. Sildar is going to stand in front of Shoria. Oh yeah, I don't think I've moved to the caster yet, but oh yes, I'm standing between Emil and Sildar so that I can sort of attack in between them and clap the bugbear leader's cheeks, so to speak, as the young people are saying these days. While standing there, Shoria isn't blocking his shot. So the leader is now running up the stairs, and she's can only just see his head, and she's thinking, right, I think I'm going to cast my Eldritch Blast on him. Now she has to do it with disadvantage, which is a bit of a shame, or it would be. Her first roll is a 20, so I think, okay, can only go down here. She rolls 23 with disadvantage as well, so she gets to hit this guy on a 20, and she does 4 damage to the leader, and the DM, because she says there was a headshot, allows her to do an extra d4 of damage. So with that extra d4 of damage, she does 1 damage, and in total she does 7 points of damage. So that's not too bad. And now that her turn is over, so now that her reaction's over, she has a turn again. So she moves forward. She uses her Eldritch Blast. She rolls 24. I wish I had these kind of rolls when I was in character creation and Baldur's Gate. I'm always looking for at least at least 14 in every stat. Anyway, she uses her Eldritch Blast, rolls 24, and she does a total of 8 damage, and then she goes back to the bridge. And now the leader of the bugbears isn't looking so good. Yeah, so Eliza and Emil and Sildar ambush these guys, because now we're standing in like a position where the bugbears are just sort of rushing in, and we're all doing these like sort of attacks of opportunity as they just rush in. Only Sildar, I think, hits, and he does 2 and he I think he only manages to do like 2 damage or something ridiculous like that. The leader then takes another 7 points of damage from a source I don't know where it was from, which means he's absolutely fine. Green rolls a 12, failing to strike Eliza. Purple runs into green again, and he's getting really pissed off now. So I think later on, if he hasn't already, he's going to charge through the dead leader, or his leader dead or alive, and the green guy, and just push through and try to get to Shoria and myself, I think. So then I cast Toll the Dead. A violent bell chimes and kills the leader. Woohoo! Who rolled 11 and took 8 damage to that. That was very close, because again, 12 DC. I think it's a wisdom saving throw as well. So Emil then rolls an 8 and misses with his Warhammer, Old Faithful. I don't know why he calls it that. It hasn't been very faithful to him so far, I don't think, but still. So then Sildar moves in. He rolls 2 9s and fails with his multi-attack. And that's back to Shoria. Shoria rolls 22 on her Eldritch Blast and does 11 damage. The green marked bugbear is choking, but he's still up, if only slightly. Eliza rolls a 22 and does 11 damage with a rapier in his belly on his last legs. I think on the green guy again. The green bugbear rolls 8 and misses. The purple bugbear, this is who I was on about before, is powering through. He's had enough of standing behind green. He wants to get straight into the combat. He's launched himself over the body of his dead leader, and now he's standing between myself and Shoria. Oh no, between just like 5 feet before Shoria. Now I leap in front of Shoria to try and block his attack. I use Toll the Dead and do 8 damage to the green bugbear, and he rolled a 3. For some reason, oh yes, I thought it said like 3C question mark, and I realised it's an open bracket question mark close bracket. So he rolled approximately 3. Emil rolls 13 and hits. Sildar is surprised and says, "Time to turn things around." This is, I think, the first time Emil's actually managed to hit. Rather, I say bothered. I do apologise. He does put a lot of effort and tactics into his things, but like I say, no plan survives contact with the enemy. So yeah, Sildar is surprised and time to turn things around. Does 7 damage. Sildar hits for 2 13s and does 2d10 damage, 7 damage. Shoria rolls a 7 for once and misses, ends a turn. Eliza rolls a 12 and misses. The bugbear rushes. Ah, yes, that's just something interesting. The bugbear, I think it's like the purple bugbear, is trying to rush me and throw me into the pit, but gravity and indeed the dice are on my side when I roll a 10 saving throw. I think it was I think I had to get like a strength of 10 saving throw, which is quite good because I don't think again it pluses to strength. No, I don't. So that was fortunate. So yeah, so I told the dead. He rolls 5. I do 8 damage. Emil tries to throw the bugbear into the pit. He rolls an 8. The bugbear rolls 19. So he's we're all obsessed with trying to get people into the pit, as you will find out very soon. So the bugbear, yeah, he rolls a 19 versus Emil's 8, so unfortunately Emil isn't able to pick him up. Yes, stick to beds next time, I think, Emil. Which I very much like the flavour of in my own head. I've got my own headcanon for how that went. Anyway, so the other bugbear now attacks Emil in half cover. He rolls 12 plus 9 and misses. Eliza targets the... Oh, hang on, wait, hang on. Sorry, that was the wrong page. That was for another combat encounter. I do apologise. Yeah, it was only when I got the pink that... Yeah. No, forget that half cover bit about Emil and 12 and 9. Yeah, so Sildar attacks with 16, does 2 damage. He's more dead than alive, according to the DM on this bugbear. Shoria wants to knock him out, so she rolls 14 to hit, does 4 damage, and now he's unconscious. And the Nothic is now calling out, "Into the pit!" End combat. So, before we throw the bodies into the pit, which the DM kindly does for us, we loot the bodies. Oh yes, and I also have dibs on the latest treasure, which is an eye patch, which is a leather eye patch, which has a jewel in it, valued at 50 gold pieces, and an iron key, which Eliza takes, seeing as she's spending most time by the doors. Now I put on the eye patch, and Eliza's asking, don't you get a disadvantage with that? And the DM says, yeah, you roll disadvantage on weapon and spell, like ranged spell attacks. But not on things like that require a saving throw, like Toll the Dead, Sacred Flame, Word of Radiance, which is all I'm interested in anyway, so that's great. So I put on the eye patch just to look good, and Sildar looks to me and says it would suit me more if I looked more lively. I also asked Shoria as well for a mirror, just to have a look at myself, and yeah, sure enough, I find myself rather dashing, and I hand it back to her. I need to tell Shoria that as well before the next LMOP session, because I want to make sure that she's got that on her person. Because I think she seemed quite hesitant to hand it over, but yeah. Anyway, so yes, I've got this eye patch on. So as the bodies are thrown into the pit, the Nothic jumps on purple, and that's all you need to know. That was the DM, a direct quote from our DM. We then check on the goblin in the room. He's unfortunately passed away. Yes, and now Eliza is going to listen to the door opposite. She hears voices along the lines of "Stop cheating!" and "I heard you bet more. I saw you bet more than that," and along with the sound of dice. While this is going on, Emil's laying the goblin to rest. The Nothic goes poof and leaves some of the unconscious bugbear now that he's had a bit of a nibble of him. So we're now going to consider what we're going to do next. So the Nothic is now out of sight. He's had a bit of a taste of the bugbear. Great, but we're going to bring him some more bodies. So we're now going to discuss the choke point, what we think about our next plan. We're going to use the voice of the bugbear leader as a minor illusion, or rather Shoria is, and lure out the gamblers. So she's saying something along the lines of, get your backsides out here, there's intruders, what are you waiting for? And so the red brands are coming up the stairs, and there's about 3 of them. And now but now we're in position, we're prepared for them. So we have an initiative order of Shoria 13, red brands 9, Emil 7.1 because he went last previously, Sildar 7, Eliza 6, and I got a nat 1. This is the second nat 1 I've had on an initiative roll, so I get 3 to initiative. So we're now in position, waiting the red brands to come up the stairs, and again combat begins. So Shoria at the top of the apologise for that. Shoria at the top of the round uses her Eldritch Blast again. Can you guess what number she got? I'll give you a clue, it's above 20. Shoria, if you guessed 22, have yourself a cookie. And she does, of course, 8 damage, because why have anything less? Emil uses his Warhammer on one of the red brands for 21, rolls 21, finally, and does 7 damage, very nice indeed. Now, the orange marked red brand, I better just have this up on my pictures here, there we are. The orange rolls 19 and 7, so only his first attack hits for 4 damage. He misses his second attack. Edward, the pink red brand, as he's now, as the DM decided to call him, moves to Emil 21 and 23, both hit, and 2d6 plus 4 damage equals 16 damage. So I think Emil's gone down like the first combat, or he's very close. In fact, I think he was on 1 hit point. I think he was on 1 hit point at this point, and that wasn't good. So I think Edward had used using secret techniques from I don't know who. Direct quote from the DM once again. Yes, decides to attack Emil, and hits him quite hard. That multi-attack is lethal, as we'll go around to find out. So the other brand attacks Emil in half cover. This is where the half cover comes in. He rolls 12 and 9, misses both attacks. Eliza targets the pink red brand, Edward the Mighty, rolls 9, misses. Not that way, love. So I've written down smug. I use Sacred Flame, and Edward dodges with a 14. Shoria rolls 13, misses unfortunately. Emil casts Word of Radiance, a Constitution saving throw of 12 to try and hit 3 targets of his choice. And the first guy rolls a 7. The orange guy rolls a 13. And Edward the pink rolls 19. So 2 of these guys take 2 damage from his Word of Radiance, and they're not overly impressed by Emil's connection with Moradin and his oath. So that was rather fun for him. Oh well, it was fun while it lasted, I guess. Sildar rolled a 19 and an 8, so he rolls 5 damage, and he kills off the orange-red brand, who's in the centre of all this going on. Edward then rolls a 7 and then 19, and he takes 4 damage from... I think that's right. He takes 4 damage from something, I don't know. Sildar attacks the other red brand, nat 20, does 13 damage. He uses his swords with 2 hands, which I noted that down because I thought that was quite impressive in my mind's eye. I don't know why it was, but I just thought it was worth noting down. I get caught up in things when writing my notes. I sometimes go, write down all manner of shite. Well, that's really how the videos go, isn't it? So the other guy rolls a 20, then a nat 1 on the second attack, the first attack dealing 4 damage, and his sword is thrown away. I say the other guy is the one who doesn't have a marker, so he doesn't. So one's orange, one's pink. The orange one's now slain, but the other one, hence called the other red brand, doesn't have a marker at all for reasons I don't know. Yes. So you'll have to bear with me while I try to find my notes. Oh yes, so Eliza rolls 22 and hits the disarmed other RB, red brand, does 11 damage. And this is clever tactics all around here. Accommodations all around. She moves away. Eliza at this point moves away in order to trigger Edward the Pink's attack of opportunity. So then he can't attack Shoria because she wants to move. So it's 4D chess going on here in this group. So she triggers this guy's attack of opportunity. He misses, from what I understand. Yeah, he misses, and now Shoria can run away on her turn because this guy hasn't got his attack of opportunity. And the DM was DM was kicking himself with this entire session. Well, what remained of this entire session, because we're nearly at the end now. Our DM was kicking himself because Shoria had managed to run away safely and get to the bridge. So I've put here very clever combinations all around. Great. Well done, Eliza. So I use an action to remove the action. I think that was meant to be eye patch. Because upon seeing Emil go down, I say in Dwarvish, this is no time for games. I tear off the eye patch, throw it to the ground, and I use my bonus action to heal Emil, rather to bring him back to 0 hit points. So he doesn't have to do any death saving throws. I don't think it actually even had to do a single one when I did that, so that was good. I think in future I will always want a grave cleric in the party. So Shoria rolls 20 and does 9 damage to someone, presumably the other red brand. And I think it was Edward who is now attacking Shoria, or someone who says something along the lines of I think it was along the lines of you won't be laughing when I have my daggers pressing against your cheeks. Which Shoria responds with, you'll have to buy me dinner first. God almighty, I think that was my favourite line of them all. Dear. I'll have to bring my partner to this group because the lines like that, if there's things like that, she'll be howling here. So anyway, so Ed rolls a natural 20, does 3d6 plus 4 damage, 16 damage. He's down. I don't know who's down. I think it was. I don't know who's down in this situation, but anyway. So Eliza and I roll nat 1s on the other red brand, who's now trying to escape because he's disarmed and he's running out the cave. And we were thinking of giving chase, but he's only got one weapon, so I don't think he's that much of a threat, and he's pretty in bad shape. So, so Eliza rolls a nat 20 and does 15 damage to. I think the pink red brand now, going by the battle map here. And we're sort of wondering now, what should we do? And of course, this is another meme, I think, where the party's chanting, in the pit, in the pit, in the pit. And I decide, okay, we're going to try and throw this guy into the pit, seeing as that's a recurring theme here. So, it's my strength roll versus Edward the Mighty's. I roll 14. He rolls an 11. And so I flavour it as shield bashing him into the pit. Now I have my shield on my left arm, so I have to like spin around and get the shield facing him, and then I can bash him into the pit. And so the DM narrates us as the Nothic appears and performs unspeakable things upon this person. So the combat is over. Oh yes, I think I realised who's down when I said he's down in page 10 of my notes here, because I'm now on the 11th and final page. Yes, it was Sildar who was down, and so Shoraya uses a health potion on Emil. Now they've stabilised him. Sildar is healed. Emil uses a healing potion on Sildar, which is 2d4 plus 2. Oh yes, Shoraya uses a healing potion on Emil. 2d4 plus 2 is 3 plus 3. She got 3s on that. Fantastic rolls. And so that's about a total of 8 healing. That's good. Emil uses the healing potion. He gets 4 plus 2. So you get 2 2s. And yes, and he heals Sildar up, giving him 6 HP. So Eliza opens the door to the gambling den. She's peeking inside, doesn't see a whole lot. I think she can only see in a straight line. I don't think that's all there is to the room, because it's just in a straight line. I can see some shadows towards the back, so I assume there's some sort of wall or something there. And she sees only the table there, so we'll have an investigate of that later. We decide that we're now going to go back to... Oh, after throwing the other bodies into the pit as well and looting them, I don't think we did loot them. I haven't got the loot written down. We'll have to see what our DM for that session wants to do. So anyway, we decide that we're going to have a rest in the room where the bugbears were. There's 4 beds in there, and one of the goblins is lying there. The Nothic is now speaking to Emil and says, "Bring that one to me." To which Emil says, "No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to cross the line." And I think the Nothic responded, and I didn't get it down. I can't remember. So yeah, I'll have to ask Emil's player what he thought of that. And we're going to have ourselves a short rest, because we've had 2 combats, and we haven't really used that many resources, but it's more about using hit die. So Eliza uses her hit die to restore 11 HP. Emil uses his hit die to restore 5 HP. And Sildar apparently has a d8 for his hit die and restores 8 HP. So that was good, and that's so now Sildar, we know, is at 14 HP total. Rather, HP so far, I think. I don't know why I've put total. I don't know if that's his total amount, his total HP, or if that's the most he's restored in this session. 6 plus 8. 14, yeah, so... Yeah, so it might be the health is restored rather than his hit point maximum. So Eliza, on an ending note, is thinking about the woman in the black, whoever that may be. We then rolled d20 to decide who was going to recap. I rolled the lowest. In fact, no, I think Emil's player and I rolled the same number, so we had to re-roll, and I did. And I will do this next session recap. Even though I do all these videos and put in all this, well, not all this work, this very bare minimum amount of work. So yes, yeah, it was a fun session. I'm really glad that this was the one our DM had to leave for out of all of them. They got to know us better. They got to know our characters. We got to know their style better. We got to know how they play the game. And yeah, it was a shame that they had to leave, but I am grateful for them giving us this fantastic introduction to D&D. And while I want the story to continue, I would not be dissatisfied if this was the absolute end to our time in Lost Mine of Phandelver, and that the only way I'm going to play this again might be with another group. But I'm pleased to say that's not the case. We will be playing with different people. We will be playing with... Sorry, what am I about? We will be playing with the same people, just maybe with a different DM. We'll have to see how that goes. But in the meantime, we are looking at possibly one of our players, Emil. Emil's player character, rather. No, Emil's character player. Let's not confuse things any more than they are, Joe. He might be DMing the next Lost Mine of Phandelver. Or we might be having Michaela from the tutorial arena doing that. We shall see. So thank you ever so much for watching. Wish you all to take care. May your dice remain clacky, and I think I'll have to go back to one of my old catchphrases from an old channel I did. So yes, it's your #1 source for #2 session recaps. Yay. Alright, thank you very much for watching, take care, and ta for now.